Secondly, examining the reality of JPIC issues in Brazil. Brazil is a land of extraordinary beauty, but also of deep contradictions. From deforestation in the Amazon to the struggles of indigenous communities and the urban poor, the reality of justice, peace, and integrity of creation issues in Brazil reflects the broader global challenges we face. Thirdly, the role of the church and the religious life. As people of faith, we are called not only to reflect but to act. Pope Francis, through Laudato Si and Fratelli Tutti, reminds us of our moral responsibility to care for creation and stand in solidarity with the most vulnerable. How can the church, religious congregations, and the JPIC networks contribute to shaping a just and sustainable future before and beyond COP30? Today, we are honored to have Sister Petronella Maria Boonen and Sister Michael Mary Nolan as our speakers. Both are human rights activists from Brazil. Pope Francis reminds us in Laudato Si the urgent challenge to protect our common home includes a concern to bring the whole human family together to seek a sustainable and integral development. This webinar represents one small but significant step on that journey of unity and action. A sincere thanks to the Integrity of Creation Working Group of the JPIC Commission for organizing this webinar. Juan, Margaret, and Adina, a big thanks to you. As we begin, let us open our hearts and minds to this conversation, allowing it to inspire us in our JPIC mission. May this webinar be a step toward greater collaboration, deeper commitment, and concrete action for justice, peace, and the care for our common home. Once again, I welcome all of you on behalf of JPIC Commission and thank you for your presence. Now I invite Father Antonio Lamas, the JPIC promoter, coordinator of Claretian Congregation, to lead us into prayer.
Good afternoon or good morning. We are going to do our initial prayer following the pattern that Sister Margaret has prepared. And we start with this quotation from Laudato Si. May our struggles and our concern for this planet never take away the joy of our hope. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. This moment, we are going to listen to a song in every age by Janet Sullivan.
Is this being recorded?
I'm sorry, I cannot. Everybody is hearing it? Can
Yes,
you listen
yes. Yeah. It's being recorded. The meeting is being recorded. Yeah.
We can't hear the audio.
No, the audio is not, it's not, you have to share, before sharing the screen, you have to stop sharing the screen. And then when you put share, you have the options on the right part that says share sound, and you can share the sound too.
Sorry.
Creation prayer. Bless us, God our Father. The immense beauty of the universe is an expression of your love for us. The earth, in its freshness, the trees, the plants, in all their grandeur, allowed us to cherish the beauty of life in the person and in nature, bequeathed by the stewardship of our ancestors. Renew us, Lord Jesus, in whom all things are renewed by the grandeur of your saving grace. You taught us love in all its fullness. Teach us to be active stewards of your creation, defending the rights of our people, protecting our mountains, lands, trees, and animals, renewing what we have lost through our sinfulness. Empower us, Holy Spirit, to embrace the prophetic life of stewardship, rejecting all forms of abuse in our environment, inspiring a cleaner and sustainable future for our children, developing innovative solutions to address environmental degradation and climate change. As we care for the gift of our existence, we care too for our world. Amen.
Thank you, Father Antonio, for the beautiful prayer. Now I hand over the session to Juan. Juan is a missionary of the Precious Bread, currently serving as General Counselor and General Economo of the congregation. He is from Chile, graduated as a civil industrial engineer, specializing in environmental engineering, financial analyst for the Department of Housing and Urban Planning of the government of Chile. He is one of the coordinators of the Integrity of Creation Working Group of JPIC Commission. Welcome, Father Juan, and over to you.
Well, thank you, Father Roy. It's my pleasure today to introduce our speakers for this webinar. Our first speaker today is Sister Petronella Boonen, Sister Nelly. She's a member of the Missionary Sisters, Servants of the Holy Spirit. She was born in Luxembourg and currently ministering in Brazil for the last 38 years. She collaborates with the Center for Human Rights and Popular Education in Sao Paulo and is one of the organizers of the Network of Schools of Forgiveness and Reconciliations in Brazil. She's a lecturer on forgiveness and restorative justice, conflict transformation, and emotional skills for people from low-income communities, socio-educational institutions, prisons, people working in the judiciary and pastoral organizations. She holds a PhD in Sociology of Education from the University of Sao Paulo and a Bachelor in Social Sciences and a specialization in conflict mediation. So, welcome, Sister Nelly. We're very grateful to have you here today. And our next presenter is Sister Michael Mary Nolan. I think we have a slide for her. Sister Michael Mary is a member of the Congregation of the Sisters of the Holy Cross. She was born in the USA. She arrived in Brazil in 1968 at the age of 27. She's a defender of the oppressed and minorities, quilombolas, indigenous people, rural workers, immigrant women in conflict with the law, and the homeless. She has a degree in law from the Pontifical Catholic University of Sao Paulo. She worked as a lawyer and legal advisor for the Indigenous Missionary Council of Brazil. She's president of the Instituto Terra, Trabalho e Cidadania, whose mission is to eradicate gender inequality and guarantee rights and defend migrant women in prison. So welcome, Sister Michael. We're very grateful having both of you here. So for today, we're gonna hear from Sister Nelly and Sister Michael, and we have until 4, but I would say let's leave the last 20 minutes, around 20-25 minutes for question and answers, if that's okay. So with that introduction, I give the floor to Sister Nelly. Welcome.
So, good afternoon here in Rome. I'm currently in Rome. Now I was supposed to speak now in Portuguese. I will switch over. Boa tarde.
Good afternoon or good morning. So the idea of today is giving some information about the process of preparation and involvement of religions organizations in preparation for the COP30, but not only in the whole process relating to the climate matter, other justice and peace themes. But we want, beyond giving some information, we want to bear witness of how we are preparing ourselves as church for this process. And then the other sister in the second part will present some practical information about how we are working on climate issues. So I thank the translators for allowing me to speak Portuguese. And I am very thankful to the people who are here in this call, because I think we're all interested in this dialogue, this conversation, and the Sister Michael Mary and I would be very grateful also to hear from you, to have the possibility to share our actions. And so with this, I'll start sharing my presentation. Can you see? Can you see my slide in presentation mode? So
Yes.
what we thought. So let me see if it works. So first of all, how are we trying to respond to the justice, peace, and integrity of creation issues? So what caught our attention, and it's very important to us, and for many of us, especially religious women, it's very easy to just be on the local level. We are with the excluded ones, so we are working individually at the local level, and we work also with movement groups. But sometimes we perceive that to go to the second articulation level, so maybe some bigger groups that can do political lobby, that is very interesting, because in that way we can have a political pressure nationally and internationally. So I'm saying all this to avoid the word advocacy, but that's basically it. So we need to work in network, we need formation, we need to communicate, so to have a good communication, and we also need a very good political advocacy. And so the more complex the issues, the more we need to go to the higher levels, such as national and international levels. And we saw, thanks to a research that we did some years ago, together with the members of Vivat International. So these are 12 organizations that got together to have a bigger political pressure. Right now they are in New York, but also in Geneva. So we saw that in Brazil, at least, we really like to go out from the more local level to go to the higher level, to the more political level. So that said, in relation with the COP30, the desire is to be present in the capillary awareness raising process in which Vivat members are active in the preparatory process of training, articulation, mobilization, and also political advocacy on climate issues. So we need to have a bigger emphasis on the pre-COP30 preparation and issues than on the official COP30, which is to say the big representations of the government or political groups. So the pre-COP30 issues. So I prepared some practical examples as to how we are working in this preparatory process as women religious or in general religious groups. And one important activity is in the provinces, so ad intra work. So formation and training, formation, for example, for justice and peace, integrity of creation teams, but also coordination of educational institutions. So formation on what we need to work still, because still after a 50-year long process of formation in the religious life, we still need to involve more groups and religious life participating to pastoral and social movements, and especially considering the Laudato Si encyclical during the last years, it's very important to raise awareness about the defense of our common home. But as I've already said, in Brazil, we perceive that religious life is still very focused on private local actions, but we have to remember that Brazil has the holds the ninth position as the ninth biggest economy in the world, but it has the 10th place with regards to these inequalities, and 89th place with regard to the human development. So this shows that we really need urgently to change the system, and for that we need to promote and to awaken the religious life. So now going to the higher levels, so the second level of articulation, and in the state of Roraima, so in the north, close to Venezuela and Colombia and Guyana. So there the religious life together with the indigenous people and the diocese and NGOs, and also together with the universities. They are promoting, together with the indigenous people, actions to defend their territories, raising awareness and involving the population in the COP30 with the slogan, "Tomorrow may be too late." So these issues for the COP30 issues are very urgent for the indigenous people, and they are organizing some preparatory meetings and groups of discussions, and all the missionaries, especially for the indigenous people's schools, because they are very fragile and it's very easy to literally buy indigenous communities, such as for the carbon credit right now. So some seminaries are being organized to listen to the witnesses of indigenous people, but also people from other places or countries on this project, the carbon credits, and it's very important also to provide materials to strengthen the indigenous fight not to be bought by this carbon credits, that it's basically they are trying to buy their territory and an authorization to keep exploiting their territories to more industrialized countries. The second level, regional level, we see this state of São Paulo and Paraná in the south, together with the together with some NGOs. We are doing a mission of integral ecology and advocacy with the communities that are impacted by these actions. And so we are preparing some online information on integral ecology and Laudato Si, but also we are trying to comprehend the geographic and social reality of the territory, and also trying to understand some the political actions that we can have locally and nationally from Vivat. So we are preparing these missionaries with visits and meetings, listening to the communities. There are many quilombolas communities that are Afro-Brazilian communities that don't own their land. So we really need to listen to those communities and also groups or parishes who might be interested in this proposal. Third point, trying to work on the threats to the populations, but also nature, to enable this political advocacy at local, national, and international level. Another point is that we want to communicate and witness to the mission of integral ecology as a church that goes out, because we know that the church seems like it's kind of asleep and is very focused on the inward. And so this is an opportunity to give visibility both to integral ecology, but also to this church that goes out. At the third level, which is the international level, we are working together with the National Conference of Bishops of Brazil, that together with other organizations is trying to coordinate the process of the church and churches road to the COP30. and especially through the Social Transformation Commission, Integral Ecology and Mining Commission. So these are more than 100 organizations involved in this actions. And once again, the emphasis is on the pre-COP process with thematic documents on integral ecology. Then, so it is useful to have all the information, but it is also important to have a political advocacy. Then the other second proposal of the church, Road to COP30, is to organize, so the first was already done 10 days ago. So I was saying 5 pre-COPs groups. We'll have 2 more in April and May. So these groups, so that the people in Brazil can be multipliers of this work in their territories. And the church, together with the National Conference of Bishops of Brazil, is very important to be have this presence in the Latin America advocacy team to build a political advocacy process towards COP30. And another very important moment is the People Summit, which is the mobilization of more than 400 organizations, social movements and networks united in defense of the Amazon, and all the biomes that make the planet habitable. I mean, I'm talking about human beings, of course, but all the biomes that can contribute to that, committed to a social, environmental, anti-patriarchal, anti-capitalist, anti-colonialist, anti-racist, and rights agenda. So this anti, so unfortunately is very important, because still capitalism, colonialism, racism are a reality, and so we need to create some anti-actions. I know it's not very nice, but it's necessary. So we need to create a lifestyle that can guarantee human rights for everybody. And unfortunately, in this moment, we are in that anti-fight. And the People Summit have been reunited since 1992 to guarantee a future of well-being and climate change. It is a cry of resistance. It is an echo of voices that were silenced by inequality. I'm thinking of Brazil. We saw its 10th position with regard to inequalities, also the struggle and hope of indigenous traditional peripheral communities that were those who have contributed the least to the climate crisis, but who suffer the most from its impacts. And this is very important to recognize. So it is urgent for us, I mean, our people in the South that contributed the least to the climate crisis are the ones who suffer the most. And so for that, we need a space for building a future rooted in social and environmental justice. So I would like to also remind that the People Summit has been reunited so that to defend live global climate justice and also to promote an energy transition that doesn't penalize the most vulnerable. And so this wants to give visibility to the to the countries that contribute the most on the climate impacts, on figures and targets for reducing the greenhouse effect and global warming, and these have not been met. So it is really important to remember that. And so right now, when we think of the COP30 in Brazil, Belém. So in those activities that will see the participation of the church organizations, etc., etc. So we'll see the People Summit Symposium with more than 10,000 people together with the desire to build a stronger collective action for to defend the right of land for everybody. Then the People Summit International March, the interreligious night. That is an activity that tries to defend the interreligious rights. Then the Symposium of the National Conference of Bishops of Brazil and Mass, and then for us, the 12 organizations of Vivat International. This year we celebrate our 25 years of existence, so we would like to celebrate our anniversary together with official and extra official presences in the COP30. And so with this, I conclude my presentation. I don't know what time it is, but I'll give the floor now to Sister Michael, and she'll speak in English for the time being. Thank you very much.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. They said it would be better if I spoke English than Portuguese, so I might fall back into Portuguese because the words are usually used in Portuguese. I'm going to take a different line than Nelly did. I don't know if everyone knows how COP30 is organized. It's a United Nations activity. They have what they call the green zone, the blue zone, and then the others. The green zone is the official representatives. The blue zone are activities that can be provided by organizations that have representation in the United Nations. So most of the church groups that we are working with are going to have activities in the blue zone. Those last few that Nelly spoke about are in the blue zone, so that we know where we are in this organization. But to me, the most important question at this moment is, COP will happen, but will it be a success or a failure? It is very much threatened at this moment with the position of Donald Trump and withdrawing, saying he's not going to participate. And a fear that other nations, especially those with more right-wing governments, will follow his direction and not want to participate also. That is one area where I feel that we have a great responsibility as religious men and women to encourage our governments to participate. And I was thinking the other night, we have a whole army of retired religious. They're good at praying and we need the prayers. But I think we need to call them into action at this moment to get in contact with their former students, their former colleagues, write letters, call. And I think that probably writing letters and calling are better than the social media because everybody gets social media. But today to get a letter is something different. Because we must encourage the governments to participate. In the United States, the encouragement will have to be on the state level, with the state governments, because they can participate independently of what Donald Trump says, as I understand. I might be wrong, but that's what I was told. But at this point, one of our important roles, I think, as religious is to get the official people participating. Not on, and then that then goes to the second part. Once we get the official people participating, we have to be able to say what we want them to say. That is one reason why, at this point, the bishops in Brazil are working on the Bishops' Conference and all the organizations that are related to it, are working on a basic statement of what are the questions that for us are essential. They're also trying to get the same statement approved on a Latin American level, with the Latin American Conference of Bishops with CLAR and the Conference of Religious, so that all the church people from Latin America will come with the same basic questions that we're going to put an emphasis on. I don't know if this is possible to be done in other countries. I think it would be interesting if the JPIC office, and I don't know which office would do this, could collect and maybe develop a basic list of what does JPIC want basically from COP30, so that people who we talk to, people that we know are going, will know what we want. And so that it doesn't just stay, oba, but we have concrete questions that are important. Nellie spoke about the whole carbon question, which for us is extremely important. But for each country, for each region, there are probably concrete questions that could be then shared. I mean, one of our greatest strengths as religious women is that we're in the whole world and we can network. And in relation to COP30, we must network. If there's not a strong network of people who are interested in justice and peace and the solidarity of ecology, COP30 is going to be a failure. And we have a very, very important role in this. I don't know that somebody, Father, I don't know if who will answer this, but I think we need to have a concrete plan. We have to know what it is. We're preparing here in Brazil. We're preparing with a basis of the document that the CNBB, the CRB, which is the Conference of Religious, and the other organizations are providing. We're preparing little booklets in popular language of what are these basic questions. And then And these basic questions have to be passed on to the people who are going to be decided at COP30. And I think we have a big role in that. And I think we have an army that can do it, who are our retired members. You know, we always say we ask them to pray, but I think they have a job at this point, which is to get in contact. Those who can get in contact with the people that they know that are going to COP30. Both the government people and the people from the civil society. And say, the COP30 is important to us, and it's important to us for these reasons. This, to me, is perhaps the most important thing we can do now, is to really get a strong network of, because it is, the COP30 is threatened. It's not only threatened by Donald Trump pulling out, it's threatened by agronegócio, in English, by business, farming businesses. This whole tariff question is going to have a great influence in COP30. So really, we have to sit down and get concrete and say to people, this is what we want. As religious, organized religious, as representatives of the church, this is what we want out of COP30. Because and we have to do it organized. We here in Latin America have to know what the people in Asia are saying. And we have to say to our representatives here in Latin America, we want you to support our Asian brothers and sisters on these questions. We want you to support our African brothers and sisters on these questions. Somehow we have to set up a system that'll help us exchange information. And I think JPIC could do that. They're available throughout the world. And I think we just have to sit down and figure out, maybe you're already doing that. I don't know. I haven't heard anything. But if you are, I'd encourage you to go on, but also to deepen it and to do it better. Vivat has to do this with all of its members. JPIC has to do this. The other church, there are various church groups that are represented in the United Nations. Somehow or other, we have to get them together too. Because we can't just think that COP30 is going to happen and it will have good results. That is not our reality at this moment. With the growth of extreme right governments, it's going to be much more difficult to be successful. I think you wanted to give time for people to talk and to react. Basically, that's what Nelly asked me to say something about COP30. I was thinking of other things, but yes. I think basically that's the message I wanted to get out. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Michael. Yeah, I would like to open the chat for people to react and to ask questions. I see Sister Rose is already asking something. Sister Rose Therese is asking Sister Michael, do you have the basis of this document and issues prepared in English and in other languages? She said this will help us to organize on a world level. Would you have something on this level?
The final documents aren't ready yet, but as soon as they are, we will send them out. We'll make sure that everybody, I don't know, send them to you or make sure that everybody gets them.
Yeah, if you can send us to our office here in Rome, we can distribute to all the JPIC promoters.
I don't know if Nelly has a date from Dario. when
Yes,
the
but we
documents are-
can, afterwards, we can send it to Rome and
Yeah.
they can send it out, yes. Eu só quero português. Eu só
I just
quero
want
chamar a atenção que nós
I just want to
expositores, então já lançamos
say
a
that
primeira
as
pergunta da comunidade aqui de
during our presentations, we launched this this challenge to defend the human rights as a JPIC. But here the challenge for us and our congregations is how we can enter in contact with the other organizations and groups in the world to clarify and to help other people. So this is not just for us in Brazil, but for everybody here on this call. This is an invitation that hopefully in the next weeks and months we can speak. So how to listen to the voices of the threatened people. So this is a work for us. I want to say that we have to insist on this kind of work for ourselves.
Okay.
So we certainly can use this network to try to answer that question. Prosper is asking also a question. He's saying, as faith-based organization, have you tried to find out why the Trump administration is not interested in the question of climate change? I don't know if you, if you have a clear answer of that.
I think they're not interested in climate change because they ignore it. And I would say that most of your efforts to, how would you say it, to contain climate change or to stop what's going on in the world hit the pockets of the wealthy. I mean, that's, you know, they aren't things that help, you know, they are protecting their own interests. I mean, you see what Trump won in Greenlandia, you see what he's trying to do with the war in, you're wanting the minerals there. It's not interesting. Climate change means money in their pockets. Oh, we're in a capitalism, a type of capitalism that needs disasters to survive. A shock capitalism, and the capitalism needs disasters. With disasters, they survive. They make all kinds of money with big disasters. Very interesting for them. So why am I going to change? Why am I going to make changes that are going to stop us from having disasters? It's not interesting.
Yes.
Economically.
Yeah, exactly. Roberto Jaramillo is raising his hand. Roberto.
Gracias. Thank you, Juan. Thank you, all those who have organized this webinar. Thank you, Petronella. Thank you, Michael. I wanted to say something that is very timely, that I think is essential, following on what was already said, that this is necessary in both areas. That is, we have to support the movements of the peoples, the summit, the exhibits, the concert, the marches, the debates, everything that is mobilized not only in Brazil, but also in the 5 pre-COPs that are going to be organized in Latin America and elsewhere. We have to be there. And that pressure from the streets is important, but we also have to be inside with few hopes of being heard. But as the rest of Israel, as we talk about a possible world, there are about 12 or 14,000 lobbyists within the COP, and we could be about 30 or 40, a maximum of 100. that are doing something different, but we have to be there. It's necessary. And to be there, we need authority, scholarly authority, in order to debate, to be able to enter into debates with the people who are discussing about billions of dollars, huge amounts of production, consumption, and expenses, and food, and issues of latest technologies in energy, great businesses, and so on and so forth. I mean, what I wish to say is that to participate to this debate, we need a significant articulation, which we may have, but we can organize it, coordinate it. We can like turn it into a concert, like a concert, music with several instruments playing the same music. My point is, this is one of the reasons why we cannot do effective advocacy, because we do not organize ourselves to have the resources that are required, the financial resources that are required. We having a booth at COP is cost more than $100,000. That none of the congregations can do that, and perhaps we cannot even achieve that altogether. But we can organize ourselves based on the participation we have in the blue area. We can organize discussion tables, meetings, conferences, bring some unified materials. And for this, we need to do something together. It's about, we all have to pitch in, no pain, no gain. We have to put some money in common so that we can take the best advocates, the champions, to talk about energy, nutrition, climate changes, financial problems. That is costly. I love the fact that Juan and the colleagues from JPIC organized this webinar, because I think it's a realistic dimension of our participation. We don't have the resources to take 6 or 7 experts to COP, because that is expensive in today's prices. And a round table with 4 people doesn't cost less than $20,000. If you want to bring someone who is knowledgeable and who can gather 300 or 400 representatives to listen to him because he has authority. But together we can. We are 106 people connected here. If we have 80 or 90 different communities, we can do like a common fund, a common bag, to do 2 or 3 impact activities. So that's what I want to say, to bring down this idea. It's beautiful to speak about COP, but advocacy and all of that, but that needs resources. So how can we do it is my proposals. Thank you. We now are going to make a note of that. Petronella, Nelly.
I do.
Or, okay.
Nelly, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Michael. Go.
No, I just wanted to say, listening to him too, that as Nelly said, we're all good on the local group. We're all good on the local level. We're all talking about it. We're all doing things on a local level. But really, this webinar has to be a call for us to organize ourselves on those upper levels. And I think we've got to find ways. I know prices are going to be exorbitant, but there's an awful lot that can be done. I think we need money. We need to talk to the superiors to get for money, but there is an awful lot that can be done, even on the local level, that would have a regional effect. Like I said, having our retired sisters and brothers call, having them write letters, sharing, and then taking part in webinars and other, or when we have a chance to talk.
Thank you. Let's take another question from Beatriz.
Sí, hola, buenas tardes. Yo tengo dos preguntas. La primera es
I have
que
two
habéis hablado un
questions.
poco de la
The first one is
situación de
that you've
del
discussed
gobierno de Estados
the
Unidos, que ya
situation
conocemos,
of the
pero
US
mi pregunta
government. We
es,
already
¿cómo
know that,
puede
but my question
influir?
is,
Habláis del
how
peligro de que
can
muchos
it
países
affect?
no
You speak of the
participen,
danger
pero también cómo
that
puede
many
influir
countries
la
would not
situación actual
participate,
de
but
que se
how
han roto un poco las
can
relaciones
we,
entre Estados Unidos y Europa.
can this
Entre
situation
gobiernos. Y
affect,
después
that is the
también
break,
si habéis hecho una iniciativa
the break in the
así a
relations
nivel
between US and
religioso
Europe, and
con el
also
mismo
a question about
estado
whether
del
you've
gobierno de
organized some
Brasil, cuál es la
initiative as religious
posición
with the
del
government
gobierno de
of
Brasil
Brazil.
ante
What
esta
is the
COP que
position
se va a
of the
realizar en su país?
Brazilian
Gracias.
government with regards to this COP that's going to be held in
Michael,
their
go.
country?
You are nearer to that discussion than me. Go.
No, Brazil is the president of COPE. It's important to Brazil that COPE is a success. There are elements within Brazil that don't want COPE to be a success. There is division within the country. We come from an extreme right president to Lula, and so, and that those forces are still exist within the country. But basically, Brazil is putting is trying to make COPE be the best that it can, with great difficulties, and many people thinking they're not doing enough, but it is trying. I would say that. And actually, and I think it's just the whole world situation at this moment makes it a very difficult moment to have a COPE. I mean, we're going to have COPE with two wars still going on, basically, with the problem that we're having with Trump, with Europe, with the whole China question. It's really hard to know what's going to happen. You know, I would say that, but I think that what we have to do our part is to encourage people who want COPE to succeed, that they feel strengthened to do that. Talking to another group of people, I was saying that, you know, right now in the United States, the whole migrant question, the federal judges have an awful lot to do. And I was asking a group, what are you doing to support the federal judges? You know, how are you letting them know that you're giving them support when they make a decision in favor of migrants? And I think basically it's the same question here. What are we doing to let people know and to support the people who are fighting for COP to know that they have support? I think that's the basic question.
Thank you, Sister Michael. I don't know, Sister Nelly, do you want to say something?
Sim, em português.
Yes, in Portuguese.
Quer dizer, a questão política é o governo.
So, apart from the political fact, Lula is a good president, is a good negotiator, but inside the church we have extreme far right mobilization to conquer the Catholic public that voted for the far right or right wing in 2022 during the elections. So this is something that was massive, and also the new clergy as a more intimistic faith that does not consider at all the social Catholic teaching, and so it looks like we're living in another country. And also we have TV channels, YouTube channels, media that have this this pre-council Catholic religion, and so it seems like a religion is the stage for the far right and far left wings to fight, and this is a form of disrespect to all the form of religions, because so we are forced to assist to this private faith that is totally disconnected from this social political world, disconnected from the universe. And I believe that this we need to dialogue with our governments, but also we need to find and find the resource that we need inside our private church, our private faith. So we have to ask ourselves what kind of Christ we want to follow, and we need to make clear that yes, the fight of the gods continues still today. And with this,
Thank you, Sister Nelly.
I'm
going to take a question from the chat from Raquel Peralta. She's asking, on the one hand, it would be good to share the documents already being worked facing the COP30 that already have some organizations and countries. And on the other hand, this is a question, what would be the 3 to 5 themes or common issues that we should insist in COP30? So what would be the issues maybe that we need to focus on as religious?
Tem mais uma mão levantada.
Yeah, but this is from the chat. Let's go to this question first, and then we go to the hands. Do you have any? What will be the topic that you will say we will have to focus because the COP has different.
I believe that the carbon credits issue is a extremely sensitive question, and for many organizations and indigenous people are organizing themselves not to allow this, so not to be bought by this carbon credits. So for me, this is very crucial. Then the second point is the non-privatization of water in Latin America. So in the region of Guarani, and that we cannot allow that. So these, for me, are two fundamental questions. We cannot privatize water. And the third point, I would say the clean energy, with all that means. And so we have to understand how dirty clean energy is. And I don't know if Sister Michael wants to add something, but I would have a very long list of things. I also think that there's the fund for money available for formation. I think that it would be interesting to listen to people and to try to understand what's important for them and trying to do a research, because what we think is important, of course, but it is more important to know what you and your countries think is relevant, and to share this information together. I don't know if there's maybe an email or some kind of way that I could suggest to receive your suggestions or what you think is more important. And so from there, we can try to organize and say, oh, okay, so these are the things that you think relevant. And then from there.
Yes, I think that could be a role of the JPIC office in Rome, that to collect all the experiences and actions being organized around the world. Yeah, certainly I'm taking note of that, and probably Father Roy is also taking notes. And let's go to another question. Let's try to be brief because we have several questions. Let's go with Carmelo Caldos. Brother Carmelo.
Buenos días desde Bolivia. Carmelo Galdós, presidente del movimiento.
Good morning from Bolivia. Carmelo Galdós, president of the Franciscan Movement for Justice, Peace, and Integrity of Creation. The question relates to what the consequences could mean in all the basic organization. I think we have it in networks at the level of J-Corps, Patria Grande, and many organizations of justice and peace. The problem we have is what Pope Francis tells us in Laudate Si and Laudate Deum, precisely the little response there can be from the governments that are more interested in changing the structures that is not being done. That is, all the proposals are quite clear, but the governments that have more possibilities to change are those that are absolutely not interested in changing. So what would be the consequences of COP30 on these governments? So how can we advocate with these governments so they truly consider this need for change?
No, Sister Michael or Sister Nelly, if you want to say something more about this.
Não, eu acho que é uma pressão popular.
I think this must be a popular expression. So votes and for someone for something, we have to listen to them because we have to trust in the spirit. So I mean, here. I don't know. So you remember the gospel and the fight of the peoples, and this is our reality. We, in this moment, we have the media, for example, against us, and this is what people listen to. And we need to find some spots, small spots, where we can go to, where we really can make a difference. And work in the small places, because in the big areas, it's more difficult to have a big impact. During the dictatorship in Brazil, there was people sent to prison. He was tortured, and then another person tried to go visit him, and they didn't let him in. But then he finally got to go see this person, and he saw that the other person was being tortured. So the moral of the story is that there's always a small door through which we can enter to places. So this is our role, and we must find a small door, because we're not big, we are small, but it is in the small places that we can make a difference.
And now from the chat, question for Sister Nelly. Has Viva International been able to meet with the official delegation of the Holy See to ensure a sufficiently strong message, such as was Laudate Deum at COP29?
I think this is an interesting question for us, and Greta and others from Vivat are here, so I think this is an issue for us to think about. We did not yet do that.
Okay.
Thank you for this question.
And from the floor, Kachi.
Thank you very much, and thank you for organizing this webinar. Last year, while we were at COP29 in Baku, a letter signed by former leaders and scientists, including former UNFCCC boss Christiana Figueres and former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, was released. And I want to read just a very small portion of it that is pertinent to what I'm going to say. The letter says, it is now clear that the COP is no longer fit for purpose. Its current structure simply cannot deliver the change at exponential speed and scale, which is essential to ensure a safe climate landing for humanity. That's what the letter said. And like I said, it was signed by former boss of UNFCCC and even Ban Ki-moon himself. I think we have to really reflect on this and to be bold enough to unpack what is contained here. Sometimes it's very easy and very convenient to push one front and one agenda. What they were simply trying to say is that if you are looking for articulation of what we need to do, it has been well done. We have done our stock taking. We have conducted all the research. We should now be in the implementation phase. And that is not what COP is geared towards doing. The risk is that if we keep pushing maybe for one agenda or the other, it will simply amount to kicking the can down the road, and which leads to nowhere. Documents after documents have made it clear what we need to do if we are serious about this. And this is why these experts and scientists and even former boss of UNFCCC and Ban Ki-moon, I think it was in Brazil that they released this letter. So I think what we can do now is to start thinking about what needs to be implemented. What needs to be implemented. And it's no longer about whether we are paying trillions to poor countries or whatnot. We have all heard about all that. Every year we keep going into new negotiations. The negotiation phase is over. We want to be sure. We are making sure that all that has been said is put into practice. So whatever we're trying to advance, keep it with this focus, or else we keep prolonging the doomsday, if there is anything like that. So that is it. Then on whether Trump is going to come or not, I don't think that should preoccupy us. It's like we are giving the president of America, well, we understand the importance of America in the global sphere and their influence. We've just finished the 58th session of the Human Rights Council. You know, US is no longer in the Human Rights Council, but it went on. Yeah, so can we concentrate on what we can do and keep to that focus and do what we need to do? Thank you.
Thank you, Kachi.
There's two things. I'm not emphasizing the fact that Trump's not coming. I was saying that we have to make sure that other people don't follow his example. Not that he's all important, but And the other question is, maybe, I think you have a good point. Maybe something we need to start to say is another area that JPIC could work on is, how do we implement these things? Are we really I think you made a question, perhaps if the blue zone, if these groups that are forming would emphasize how do we do it? Maybe we get farther along.
Thank you. We have a couple of minutes. Sister Julie Peters, you can be very
Yes.
brief,
Yes.
direct
Thank
to the
you.
point. Thank you.
Sister Petronila spoke about engaging at all levels, and Sister Michael raised the question about how do we support. And I am thinking, but maybe I'm wrong, but I have never experienced at the level of the international level, for instance, UISG sending out or encouraging its members to, for instance, sign petitions. And I was wondering if that is a possibility. You have over 2,000 members in UISG alone. Could we sign a petition, for instance, and raise our voices against the privatization of water? Because we know what that means. We have the experience of what that means. Secondly, could we also do letters of support and sign them and send them? That's one way all of our members could be involved, whether they're old, whether they're young, whether they're in formation, ongoing formation, and there's power in numbers. So I think it is for us to push for JPIC Roma to organize at that level. And we could also do that at the regional levels with various conferences of religious. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Julie. Taking it on. Father Roy.
Yeah, just a question already asked in line with that. I would like to know whether the Holy See has approached any of the Bishops' Conference of Brazil or the group of religious congregations in Brazil had any discussion regarding this COP30. Because usually, Holy See is quite slow. By this time, they should have had a meeting here in Rome. So far, we have not received any invitation. Last year we had, but I do not know whether in Brazil, whether they have reached up to the Bishops' Conference or religious congregations. I would like to know.
Yes, as religious congregation and also as VIVAT, we are lucky that we have Dario Bose, Comboni member, and they are very active as religious life, conference of religious life. They are really dialoguing with the Bishops' Conference in this issue. That is really, we can avoid that. That is a good cooperation between.
The Bishops' Conference here in Brazil has been very active. And it's this Cambodian priest, Father Dario, who's head of it, and who's also working on doing together, trying to get one statement from Latin America, from CLAR, the Religious Conference of Latin America, and from the Latin American bishops. So
Okay, we have 3 minutes. Let's take a question from the chat. There is a question from James. It says, it would be helpful to have a brief list of VIVAT ask, of course, with the understanding that they are not going to be a lone voice, but will be part of a larger representative group with clear demands. I'm hearing about the carbon credit controversy and standing up to the privatization of water, for instance. So there's something that we can kind of join VIVAT in their efforts. Maybe people who are not in VIVAT.
Yes, you must speak. Join. Yeah, go, Roy.
I don't know. You can. And I said there is somebody waiting for another question. That's why.
Maybe briefly, or how other communities can join Vivat in the.
Right, we can look at making some information available for you all to distribute to the congregations.
Okay,
We'll look at that.
thank you. Daniela, very, very briefly.
Yes, I just want to say thank you so much for this, because as a young person, it's extremely difficult to see the situation that we're living in now and have any sort of hope for the future. We're working against time. I think we need to be very honest about that. I think someone mentioned it earlier. And so rather than going to discussing what we should, how we should do things, we should really just be retroactively doing them. And what that really looks like is engaging also with youth. Don't forget about us. I ask this of all religious congregations because we have a huge platform on social media, which has a very far reach. And so if you engage with us, such as here in the Social Justice and Ecology Secretariat, in the Curia of the Jesuits of the Society of Jesus, we have these 3 calls to action, which Father Roberto put in the group chat, and we plan to have that engagement, that key engagement from youth. If you have the reach in your social centers, in your charisms, in your missions to engage with us, please involve us in this, because we're really looking at the future that we're inheriting, and this is also key to remember. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniela.
Thank you.
We're beginning to close this. There have been a lot of interaction in the chat. We're gonna save the chat, and people are asking about following up. So we will have that discussion with the Father Roy and the people of JPIC, because I think there's a lot of energy around this topic. So we will have to do some sort of follow-up. So stay tuned. And I'm gonna pass the floor to Father Roy to close this webinar.
Yes, thank you. As many of you have requested, maybe we can keep up this conversation and until the COP, and even after that, we will see how we can organize that. So as we come to the end of this enriching webinar, I want to sincerely thank each of you for your participation, your insights, and your commitment to justice, peace, and integrity of creation. A special thanks to you, Sister Petronella Maria Boonen, SSPS, and Sister Michael Mary Nolan, for sharing your wisdom and experience, helping us understand the realities of JPIC issues in Brazil and the critical role of the church and religious communities as we move toward COP30. So thanks to Integrity of Creation Working Group, Juan and his team, all the interpreters, those who have joined us in helping us to understand what this discussion is all about, and Mr. John Luca for technical assistance, and all of you for joining from different parts of the world. So this conversation does not end here. Today's reflections challenges us to deepen our engagement, strengthen our networks, and take concrete action, both locally as well as globally, to promote justice, care for creation, and stand in solidarity with those most affected by environmental and social injustices. As people of faith, we are called not only to hope, but also to act. Let us carry forward the inspiration from today's discussion and work together to build a more just and sustainable future. Thank you once again, and may our collective efforts bear fruit for the good of our world. May we continue walking this road together. Thank you, and thanks a million.
Thank you again, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Nelly. Thank you, Mr. Michael.
Thank you. Where will this be taped?
Thank you so much.
Where will this be available?
Of these records?
The tape, the part that was taped, where can we get that?
Yeah, we will share with you. We will share with you.
Okay.
Yeah. Once it is edited, we will upload to the YouTube, and then we will share the link with you. To all the participants. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Juan, for moderating. And thanks to Sister Nelly and Michael once again.